It happens in a split second. A flash of heat rises up your neck, and suddenly, you aren't a rational human being anymore. But when the smoke clears and the adrenaline fades, you are left standing in the wreckage of your own reaction, wondering, why did I just destroy everything over something so small? I'm Oliver. We are going to decode the most misunderstood emotion in the male experience. We are going to dive beneath the surface of your rage to discover the anger iceberg and reveal what your explosion is actually trying to protect. Let's have an honest conversation about anger. It is the one emotion every man knows intimately. It is our constant companion. Think about the last time you lost control. The trigger was insignificant, but your reaction was nuclear. You felt that familiar surge, the clenched jaw, the tightening chest, the explosion of shouting or the icy wall of silence. And then comes the aftermath. You sit there, watching the people you love walk on eggshells around you. You feel a heavy, sinking sense of shame. You look in the mirror, and you don't like what you see. For generations, men have been sold a lie. We have been told that anger is our emotion. It is the only feeling society permits us to show. Sadness? That's for the weak. Fear? That's for the cowardly. Vulnerability? That's dangerous. But anger feels like power. It feels masculine. But this is an illusion. Anger is not the main event. It's a secondary emotion. It is a fierce, aggressive soldier that rushes to the front lines to protect something much softer, much younger, and much more vulnerable that is cowering behind it. To understand this, we use the metaphor of the anger iceberg. When you look at an iceberg, you only see the tip, the 10% that sticks out above the water. That is your rage. That is the shouting, the sarcasm, the slamming of doors. But the 90% of the iceberg, the massive, dangerous weight lurking beneath the dark water, that is the primary emotion. That is the truth. Your anger erupts to protect you from feelings that you were taught, as a boy, were unacceptable. Feelings like heartbreak, humiliation, or helplessness. Because we were trained to suppress these soft feelings, our brain automatically converts them into the hard feeling of anger. It happens so fast, you don't even notice the switch. Let's look at the three most common monsters hiding beneath the surface. Trigger number one, the wound of disrespect. You are at dinner. You tell a story, and your partner interrupts you to correct a detail. In a millisecond, you are furious. You snap at her. You shut down. The primary emotion isn't anger, it is hurt. It is the pain of feeling like you don't matter to the person who matters most to you. But for a man, saying the words, "My feelings are hurt," feels excruciating. So your brain rejects the hurt and chooses the shield. "How dare you disrespect me?" feels powerful. The anger is just a desperate attempt to cover up a broken heart. Trigger number two, the dread of helplessness. This hits us when we face uncertainty. You feel a cold pit in your stomach. That feeling is fear. But men are socialized to be the protectors. We are the fixers. To admit, "I am scared," or "I don't know what to do," feels like a fundamental failure of our manhood. So, the brain converts that paralyzing fear into mobilizing anger. The anger gives you a temporary illusion of control. Fear makes you feel small and passive. Anger makes you feel big and active. It discharges the anxious energy without forcing you to admit that you are terrified. Trigger number three, the agony of shame. This happens when you make a mistake. The primary emotion here is shame. Shame is different from guilt. Guilt says, "I did something bad." Shame says, "I am bad." Shame is a burning, intolerable sensation. So, to escape that burning feeling, you lash out. You blame your wife for not reminding you of the date. Or, you turn the anger inward and tear yourself apart. In this case, anger is a distraction. It is a smokescreen used to hide the fact that you feel like a disappointment to yourself. How to melt the iceberg. Now that we know the mechanism, how do we fix it? We cannot simply stop being angry. We need a new protocol. Here is a four-step process to reclaim your emotional control. Step 1. The biological break. Anger is fast. It is a survival reflex that originates in the amygdala, the lizard brain. It bypasses your logic. When you feel the red mist descending, you must create a manual override. You need a 4-second pause. When the trigger hits, freeze. Do not speak. Do not act. Inhale for 4 counts. Exhale for 4 counts. This tiny pause allows the blood to flow from your primitive brain back to your prefrontal cortex, the part of you that thinks, reasons, and loves. It is the emergency brake. Step 2. The internal interrogation. In that pause, you have to become a detective. Ask yourself the uncomfortable question: I am angry, but what is underneath? You are hunting for the truth. The moment you name the primary emotion, I am hurt, the anger often evaporates because you have acknowledged the intruder. Step 3. The courageous communication. This is where boys become men. Instead of vomiting your anger onto the people you love, try speaking the truth of the iceberg. Instead of shouting, "You always interrupt me, you have no respect," this is an attack. Try saying, "When you interrupt me, I feel like what I have to say doesn't matter to you, and that hurts." The first one starts a war. The second one starts a conversation. It invites empathy. It is incredibly vulnerable, yes, but it is also incredibly strong. It takes zero courage to yell. It takes massive courage to admit you are hurt. Step 4. The physical reset. Sometimes the anger is just energy. Your body is flooded with cortisol and adrenaline. You are in fight or flight mode. You cannot think your way out of a chemical flood. You need a physical outlet. Do not suppress it. Go for a run. Lift heavy iron. Hit a punching bag. You need to move the energy out of your muscles so your mind can return to peace. You are not repressing the emotion. You are processing it physically so you don't project it emotionally. Your anger is not your enemy. It is a loud, clumsy, aggressive messenger, but it is loyal. It is trying to tell you that a boundary has been crossed, a need is unmet, or a wound has been touched. For years, you thought your only options were to swallow the anger, depression, or explode with it, aggression. Now you have a third option. You can listen to it. True masculine strength is not the ability to intimidate others with your rage. It is the quiet courage to look inside, find the wounded part of yourself, and heal it. When you look under the surface of your anger, what emotion do you find most often? Is it hurt, fear, or shame? Tell me in the comments. Let's bring this into the light. And if you are ready to stop being a slave to your reactions and start being the master of your life, make sure you subscribe.